நீங்க திடீர்னு நீங்க Okay. So we have two of you, Harish and I think Sri is there, I guess. Okay, fine. So we just have one more chapter to complete, people. So we'll just complete it. We'll directly go for problems, and whichever things that you don't know, I will teach you there. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. So I have this compound with me. Okay. I have this reaction with me. Right. Tell me the product. What is the product of this reaction? So I have this molecule with Br2 in the presence of KOH. What reaction is this, people? Which reaction is this? If you have, so basically, okay, what is this group? This group we know is an amide. CONH2 is an amide, right? Okay. So what is this going to do? If I put Br to the root of KOH, what reaction is this?
Sir, is this Hoffman bromide degradation?
Yeah, this is Hoffman bromide reaction, right? So if you have a reaction like RCONH2, and if I put Br2 bar NOH, KOH or NaOH, you are going to get a primary amine as the major product. Basically, there'll be one carbon atom less, is what you need to understand. Okay, right? But the mechanism is little important. So we'll just see what is the mechanism of this. Just give me a moment.
Sir, for that C double bond O will come out and OHC and then it will directly be attached to NH2, sir.
Something like that. Let me tell you. 1 second. I'll give you a proper picture. If I give you the mechanism, I think it will be fine. Just give me a moment. Where are you? Yeah. Okay. So so mechanism actually will be a little complex, but what you have to understand is basically this part, right? So this particular part in the amide is going to be a little acidic in nature. Okay. So what is going to happen is I will have first RCONH2 in the presence of the base, right? Will form RCONH minus, and basically H plus is going to get removed, right? And this will attack the BR-BR bond to form something like this. You have RCONH-Br. This is what is my bromamide, right? And this, well, one more hydrogen atom is there, so that also will go, right? And eventually some kind of rearrangement would happen, right? basically you will understand that something like this. Say if the rearrangement is going to be something like this, I will have R C double bond O, and if I write it as N minus, right? So assume that there are two bromine atoms, and somehow I have formed this N minus. Okay, so you are going to have a reaction something like this. You are going to form like this is going to come here. You will be forming basically R C double bond N double bond R. Is it something like this? Basically, you're going to form an isocyanide, right? You're going to basically, okay, anyways, we don't have to confuse yourself with the mechanism. It's not that important. Okay. So what you have to understand is in this particular question, you have to understand that this C double bond or any Hofmann-Rohrmeier reaction, the C double bond leaves, and you are going to form a primary amine. Right. Now, if this thing leaves, like in this case, what is going to happen? You will see that this carbon atom is already having a OH, and to this carbon atom only NH2 is going to go because this carbon atom is gone now. So you will have NH2 coming. Okay, right. Now this is the compound we expect, right? But what you have to understand is, just like I say that you cannot have two OH groups of the same carbon atom, right? That's like that. You cannot have one OH and one NH2 on the same carbon atom. It is highly unstable because of repulsions, right? So what is going to happen is you are going to remove ammonia from these kind of molecules. Okay, remember that last time when you had two OH on the same carbon atom, you will eliminate H2O to form the carbonyl compound, right? Here, if you find that there is OH and NH2 on the same compound, you have to remove NH3 and you have to see what is going to happen. Say if I remove NH3, again, what will you have? You are basically going to have one C double bond getting formed. So what is the product? Product is basically going to be CHO. There's a H here. Okay, so you will see that I'm going to form benzaldehyde as the product. Okay, right? So just remember that one carbon atom will be removed and the NH2 will be attached to this carbon. And in this particular case, we are going to go for one more step because one OH and one NH2 on the same carbon atom is unstable. So you'll eliminate ammonia to form this particular compound. Right, pretty easy. Right, okay. Right. Okay, go to the next reaction. Okay. Yeah, predict the final product. Oh, actually, this is not required for you. I'm sorry, guys. This is not even in your syllabus. This is called a Leuckart reaction, but you really don't have to know this. Okay, this is called Leuckart reaction. This is not there in your syllabus. I don't know why it's there in this book. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll just go to the next question. Just rub this off. If you're interested, you can learn about this easy reaction only. Okay. Next question. Is right? So can you tell me what is the final product here? Then we'll finish the class soon today. We don't have much reactions to see. Let's see. Anyways. Right. So you got the answer. I hope by this time it should have been fine. Okay. So what would have happened? First, if I put K2Cr2O7, this is an oxidizing agent and this is a primary alcohol. So can I say first thing, I will form COOH here after K2Cr2O7 oxidizing agent, right? Okay. Then if I put SOCl2, what will happen? This will form COCl, an inofluorinating agent. SOCl2 converts acid to acid chlorides, SOCl2, right? Now, acid chlorides reacting with secondary amines. What will happen? Acid chlorides reacting with secondary amines, what will happen? What will happen? When you have RCOCl, and if you put R, say I put NH, R dash, whatever it is, what will be the product? What will happen if I put primary amine? What will be the product? Or if I put ammonia, what will be the product with acid chlorides? What will be the product if I put ammonia with acid chlorides?
NH2, sir, will be substituted.
Basically you are going to get a primary amide. RCONH2 is what is you're going to get. H from this, Cl from this will be removed. But that is not the mechanism, but still you can remember it like that. Right. Now if I'm going to put a primary amine, what am I going to get? Same thing only. So I'm going to get RCONH R dash, or if it's R dash. This is a secondary amide. And this, if I put, I'm going to get a tertiary amide, RCO. If I put R double dash, RCO, N, R, R dash, R double dash, and R dash. Right? Okay. And that is exactly what we're doing here. I found the acid chloride after this, and I'm putting what? I'm putting a secondary amine, which will give me a tertiary amide. That's what you need to understand. Right? It is going to give me a tertiary amide. Very simple, right? Like you know how to convert one acid derivative into another acid derivative. You've already seen all these reactions. Right? Okay, then okay, fine. So what I'm gonna get instead of this COCl, can I say I'm going to get RCO N CH3 CH3? Right? I had SOC, I mean Cl was here, and instead of this, I'm going to put NCH3 CH3. Right? Okay. Now remember, guys, any amide for that matter, primary, secondary, or tertiary amide, on reduction will always give me amine. It will always give me amine as the product. Amides on reduction will give me amines as the product. Remember this. Okay, this is also one of the ways to prepare primary amines or secondary amines or tertiary amines. So all of them can be prepared depending on what amide you have. If you have a primary amine, primary amide, secondary amine, secondary amide, tertiary amine, tertiary amide. Sorry, opposite. Tertiary amide, tertiary amine. Okay, right? So it's pretty simple, right? Now what you would have had is basically when you're going to reduce this particular secondary tertiary amide, you are going to get a tertiary amine. So this is a tertiary amide. I'm going to get a tertiary amine. So what do you have to do? Basically, if I go for reduction, this
C double bond
is
O will become CH2.
exactly, that's it. Right? So this would have been the product of this question. X is this product. Okay, right? The only new thing you learned now is amides on reduction will give me amines. That's it. LiAlH is a reducing agent. We know that. Okay, right. We'll go to the next question. So I think I don't have to I don't have to talk about the basic property, like the basic nature of amines. We already spoken it in general organic chemistry. We even did problems, how to decide the basic strength. Basic strength, what is the criteria for deciding
How
the basic
easily
strength?
lone pair is available.
So how easy, how much the lone pair is available, right? More and more is the availability of lone pair. More and more will be the basic strength. So basically, electron donating groups near hydrogen will increase the electron density on nitrogen, making it more basic, right? But when I go for, there are two phases, right, under which you'll be able to consider the basic strength. One would be under gaseous conditions, when all the amines, primary, secondary, and tertiary, if you have gaseous things, right, at that time only one of the criteria, there's only one criteria for you to decide the basic strength, and that is availability of lone pair, right? Okay, but if I'm going to have aqueous solutions, if I'm going to dissolve amines in water and I'm going to test their pKb values, or basically the basic strength, right? So at that time you have to go for two things. One is availability of lone pair, the other thing is stability of the conjugate acid, right? So if I have to speak about it, right, if I have to speak about it,
Sir, one small
yeah.
doubt, sir. More the pKb value, less basic it is, no, sir?
Correct.
Okay.
pKa is like, inversely proportional to acidic strength. Same goes with pKb. But Ka and Kb are directly proportional.
Okay, sir.
Right. So what I was telling is, if it's acidic, if it's gaseous phase, nothing. The availability of lone pair, we know what is it going to be. Tertiary is going to be more basic than secondary. Secondary is going to be more basic than primary, and more basic than ammonia. We know, because we know tertiary has three alkyl groups that are going to be electron donating in nature, and thereby increases the electron density of nitrogen, right? But if I'm going to have aqueous solutions, other than that criteria, availability of lone pair, you have to go for some other thing called as stability of conjugate acid. This is how we generally do in acidic strength. We go for the stability of the conjugate base. Here you have to go for stability of the conjugate acid, right? So for example, if I have primary, secondary, and tertiary amines, right? Now if I'm going to dissolve it in water, I'm going to decide the basic strength. So I have to go for this conjugate acid. What is the conjugate acid here? After accepting H plus, what is there? That is what is called as the conjugate acid of the base. There are two ways of looking at it. Conjugate acid. One thing is by after removing OH minus, whatever is remaining is what is the conjugate acid, or after adding H plus, whatever is remaining is what is my conjugate acid, right? So there is no case I can remove OH minus, so I can only add H plus. So I have RNH3 plus as the conjugate acid for primary amine. What I would have had for this thing, RNH2 plus, R dash would have been for secondary, and RN H, or right, RNH plus R or R dash RW, whatever it is. Okay, right. Now, how am I going to decide the basic stability of this? Is by using the phenomena of hydration. Right. See, remember, I have these NH bonds. These NH bonds are polar enough to act as hydrogen donors. There are no lone pairs here, so they cannot act as hydrogen acceptors, right? But this hydrogens which are here can be donated to the water, right? So hydrogen bonding is going to happen basically, right? And I know hydrogen bonding brings instability because of extra interactions. It brings instability, correct? Right. So what is going to happen is now if you have to look at how many such hydrogen atoms are there in each of these molecules, how many hydrogen atoms can be donated, that much will be the strength of the hydrogen bond. Is it not more and more hydrogen donors I have, more and more with hydrogen bonding, more and more with stability, something like that, right? Now here you see there are 3 hydrogen atoms which are involved in hydrogen bonding. Here I have only 2, here I have only 1, right? Okay, so obviously if I take into hydration for the stability criteria, you easily see that primary amines are going to be more stable, or say the conjugate acid of the primary amine is more stable than the secondary, more stable than tertiary, because it has only 1, this has 2, this has 3, right? Now this is what we expect the basic strength order in case if I consider only hydration, right? But I know if I consider the other one, that is if we consider the availability of lone pair, I know with respect to that, it is going to be tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary, isn't it? Right? Okay, so this is with respect to the availability of lone pair. Now, when you see the actual values, it is going to be a combination of both these values together, both these hydration as well as your availability of lone pair combined together. You have what is that? Combined together, you have the basic strength decided, right? So generally what they say is secondary is second in both of them. Okay, so it will be generally secondary, primary, tertiary. That is how it is generally going to be. But again, it will be different for different alkyl groups. Please check your books. Okay, in the NCERT textbook, they would have given you perfectly what is the order, right? But what you have to understand theory behind it is both there are 2 criteria you have to check. One is for hydrogen bonding, the other is with respect to the availability of lone pair on the nitrogen atom, right? So you combine them together, you are not going to get either this, not this, but you're going to get this kind of order for the basic strength. Okay, right? So that is what is, and obviously you know how to like if I have resonance structures involving nitrogen, obviously those kind of amines are going to be really less basic because the lone pair is not available on nitrogen atom, it is involving in resonance, right? So anyways,
Sir,
can
you please explain why it's 2 degree greater than 1 degree 3?
Oh, it is because like these are experimental, right? But what analogy I can draw from this is because say secondary is in both the cases it is in second position, right? So that comes out to be first because both both the availability of lone pair and the hydrogen bonding criteria are favoring your secondary, right? And primary, why it comes maybe because in the aqueous solution, you're talking about aqueous solutions, right? So in the aqueous solution, maybe the hydrogen bonding parameter only dominates, not the availability of lone pair.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
yes.
Something like that. But again, this will be different. I think this is for primary. This is for methyl group. If you find the R is methyl, you will find this. I think if it is ethyl, you will go for this one. I guess I'm not sure. Please check your NCERT textbooks. Okay, so if it is tertiary, I mean, if it is ethyl group, if R is ethyl, you will find that this will be the order of, I'm not sure, I'm just giving you, but definitely it is different for ethyl and methyl groups. Okay, so in that case, what you can tell is obviously the availability of lone pair between these two, between primary and tertiary, the availability of lone pair dominates. So that's why we are getting this particular order. Okay, but please check your notebooks, please check your NCERT textbooks. You will get a very clear picture there.
It's
Right?
correct, sir.
This is correct what I told? Okay, good. Right, good enough. Then I remember. Okay, next question. Okay, this will be an easy question. I think you should be able to answer this. So I have A. This is reacting with C6H5SO2Cl, and in the presence of OH minus, and then you have, okay, fine, OH minus, B, you can even put KOH, whatever it is. And here I'm forming a clear solution, right? And you have B reacting with same thing. If I put OH minus, I am seeing that it is actually insoluble. Okay, and if I put C with this, I'm putting OH minus, so I'm saying that it is insoluble, right? But if this thing is dissolved in H plus, I am forming a clear solution. Okay, right? So I have basically A, B, C are different compounds, right? What you have to tell me is, obviously we are talking about amines, so this is going to be some kind of amines. I want to know which is primary, which is secondary, which is tertiary. That's what I need to know. A is primary, secondary, tertiary, or B is primary, secondary, tertiary, or C is that, whatever it is. Okay, fine.
Sir, A is primary, B is secondary, C is tertiary.
Okay, good. Right. So I think this is a very easy question. I know this one is what is called as your C6H5SO2Cl is what is called as your
Tosyl group.
Tosyl.
no. Tosyl. Okay, fine. There's a name other than that. You have a name for this, right? This is actually a
Benzoyl.
test. No. This is actually a test, right? For testing whether the amine is primary, secondary, or tertiary. What test is this?
Hinsberg test.
Right. This is Hinsberg test. Right, and this one is what is called as your Hinsberg reagent. That's it, you have to understand. Right, C6H5SO2Cl, benzoyl sulfonyl chloride, or benzene sulfonyl chloride. I'm sorry, this is not tosyl group, guys. Tosyl group should have a CH3. Hope you understand. If along with C6H5, I should have had a CH3. That is tosyl group. This is benzene sulfonyl chloride. That's it. Okay.
CH3
So, anyways, this is basically C6H4 CH3 should have been there. That is tosyl. Toluene sulfonide. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, anyways, this time it's not there. Right. So this is what is called as your Hinsberg reagent. Hope you understand the test. Right. So you will easily say that when you're going to form this, like the compound form, it is going to be dissolved in KOH and form a clear solution. It is called it is a primary amine. And then if it is forming the complex, but it is not soluble, then it is secondary amine. And basically, in this case, what you have to understand is the reaction itself wouldn't have happened. In case of tertiary amine, the reaction itself wouldn't have happened, but still this is little basic in nature, isn't it? If it's a tertiary amine, it will be basic in nature. But so if I dissolve it in H plus, there on because of acid-base reaction, you are getting a clear solution. Okay, right? So this is what is Hinsberg. I hope you understand how the reaction works. If I have this RNH2 reacting with Cl, whatever the compound, SO2Cl. Basically, the first step would be the HCl getting removed, and then they're going to dissolve it in KOH. That's what they do, right? So a tertiary amines will not even have this hydrogen, so nothing will happen. Okay, anyways, that's about Hinsberg test. Okay, I'll go to the next question. Right, I'll rub this part. Okay. I have ethylamine. I put HNO2. I form A. PCl5 forms B. Then I put ammonia. I'm going to form C. I want to find what is the C. Tell me C. What is C? Okay, first all you have to understand is HNO2 I know is nitrous acid, right? So you know nitrous acid in presence of amines will form, what is the name of the compound form? Amines with nitrous acid. What is the compound name?
Diazonium salt.
Right, so you'll form diazonium salts, right? But what you have to understand is aliphatic amines are incapable of forming diazonium salts, right? Because they're very unstable. Arene diazonium salts, when you have unlit, that can easily form diazonium salt. Again, that too only at a very particular temperature in some 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. Only in that temperature it is stable. If you're going to go to higher temperature, it is not going to be stable, right? So definitely you see ethylamine is a aliphatic amine with HNO2. It is not going to form the diazonium salt, or even if it is going to form, it is very unstable. So something is going to happen, right? So if you know that what is going to be A, then the other things are very easy, right? Now please understand, people. If I have RNH2 and if it reacts with, I hope you know how to form HNO2. How do you form HNO2, people?
NaNO2 plus.
Right. So you put NaNO2 plus HCl. That's how we generally produce HNO2. They'll not give you exam directly, maybe HNO2, then you can give like this also. Right. Now, why am I doing it like this? This is what is called as in situ preparation, INSITU. In situ preparation. Whenever required, I prepare it through a chemical reaction. Okay. So, anyways, now this is basically what is your HNO2. Right. Now, what you expect to form is RN2 plus Cl minus is what we are expecting. Forget about Cl minus. Let me write it like this. Something like this. RN2 plus is what I have. Okay, right. Now, this is, I told you, is highly unstable, right? So what is going to happen is this bond is entirely going to break. You are going to form a carbocation, and the moment you form this diazonium salt, a carbocation and nitrogen gas is getting evolved. Okay, carbocation and your nitrogen gas is getting evolved. This is what will happen if I'm going to have a primary aliphatic amine reacting with nitrous acid. Okay, now you know if at all I'm going to have a carbocation, various things can happen, isn't it? Generally, what will happen? Obviously, all are this in the aqueous medium, NaNO2 aqueous solution, HCl aqueous solution, right? So, the moment it is going to form, I'll have H2O attacking as a nucleophile. So, basically, you will be ending up with alcohols as the major product. This is a very good way of converting amines directly to alcohols. Okay, right? There can be other side products also. How am I telling you there can be other side products? Because you have HCl, you have Cl minus also present, right? So you can even have alkyl chloride, RCl, to be formed. Or sometimes you maybe if you use a base, sometimes there are cases where you use a base. Now what will happen? the carbocation formed will lose a H plus to the base to form an alkene. That can also be a product. Okay, but anyways, you don't have to worry about all that. What you have to understand is, if I form the carbocation, the water molecule is in the major quantity. So obviously the major product would be alcohol only, right? So hope you understood the mechanism. Formation of diazonium salt, removal of N2, formation of carbocation, attack of H2O to form the alcohol. That's it. Okay, now same thing is what is going to happen here also. Now you can get the product. You have to remember this, people. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
again,
Ethylamine.
Yeah, again, it's ethylamine only, right? So pretty easy, right? So you will form basically C2H5OH here for A, and if you put PCl5, it is going to become Cl, and then you are putting ammonia. So what will happen here? Here I'll get NH2, and then you're going for, what is it? What is the next step?
That's it, sir.
That's it, ammonia, C2H5NH2, that's it. Okay, right. So that is what is the answer to this question. Okay, next thing. What is the time? Right. So next thing is, I have CN I want to convert this into this compound. Okay, what are all the reagents required is what is asked. Okay, I'll give you options. Maybe I'll take a different marker. This is first. Second is 3 moles of CH3I followed by heating with AgOH. Okay, and option B, LiAlH4 first, then you go for T2O5 bar heating. Option C, 20% H2SO4, and second, P2O5 bar heating, and option D is H2 in the presence of nickel. Okay, right. So I'm sure that you don't know this reaction, right? I don't think this reaction is there in NCERT. Okay, right? So let me help you with this. Okay, so the answer to this question is A. Okay, the answer to this question is A. We'll see how. Right. Okay. Right. So please understand, people. I have first, this reaction is very easy. First one is very easy. I have RCN. If I go for any reducing agent, okay, if I go for any reducing agent, what will happen? You are going to form primary amine. Basically, addition of hydrogen across the C and triple bond. That is what is going to happen. So I'll always form a primary amine as the product. Okay, so cyanides or your amides on reduction will give you amines. But again, depending on what amide you have, you can get different amine. But if you have cyanides or nitriles, nitrile is same as cyanides, right? So they will eventually form only primary amines on reduction. Okay, so that is the first step. Basically, you are going to have CH2 NH2 is what you need to understand. Okay, right. Now next, there is one reaction which you know. I don't know whether you have this. Do you have Hoffman elimination reaction? Do you have this for you? Hoffman elimination reaction, do you have?
No, sir.
You don't have. Okay, cool. I'll teach you that. Right. I'll just rub the things. Okay. So what is going to happen is, people, if I have, say, RCH2NH2, I have this compound with me. Okay, right. Now, or let me put it like this, right? You know, you can have something called as quaternary ammonium salts. We know that, isn't it? Right? We have something called as primary amines, secondary amines, tertiary amines, and the next level would be the quaternary ammonium salts. I think this is how you represent it. Again, this is not writing. Next marker. So you have basically R4N plus X minus. Yeah, R4N plus X minus. This is what is called as a quaternary ammonium salt. Okay. Now what will you do is, if I put AgOH to this, okay, this X minus is going to be OH minus. This is the quaternary ammonium hydroxide, and this is quaternary ammonium halide, right? That is quaternary ammonium hydroxide. Okay, so basically the reaction happens with quaternary ammonium hydroxide only. Okay, right. So let me take an example, right? Say if you had CH3, CH2 4 times, or okay, CH3, CH2, and C2H5 thrice plus OH minus. Assume that you have this. Okay, right? Now, if you're going to heat this compound, okay, if you're going to heat a quaternary ammonium hydroxide, right, you are going to have a reaction called as Hofmann elimination to be formed, right? Now, how will you form it is very, very simple, guys. Now, you see, there are going to be two things. One part is this, the other part is this. Okay, now this part is very easy. This part is going to come out as C2H5 thrice N. A tertiary amine is going to come out. Okay, now this is basically going to form the alkene. You know, in elimination product, we always form alkene as the product. So this is going to form CH2 double bond CH2. Okay, so please understand that I need to have a quaternary ammonium salt, right? So if I'm going, not ammonium salt, quaternary ammonium hydroxide, I should have, right? So if I'm going to heat the quaternary ammonium hydroxide, two products are going to get formed. One is the alkene, the other one is the tertiary amine. Okay, now there are certain things you have to understand from this. Mechanism again is not important. If at all you want, it's pretty simple, guys. What will you do is basically you will there's a positive charge here, so you will break this bond and make it like this thing, and this bond is broken, so you have to form C2H5 thrice N. That's it. OH minus you leave, right? Positive charge is there. Now this bond is broken heterolytically, so plus and minus gets cancelled, so you'll form this. Now what will be remaining? Remaining would be CH3, CH2 plus, that is a carbocation. Now in the presence of OH minus, I'm going to remove a H plus to form this particular compound. Mechanism is very simple, but if you have, for example, I have to give you a nice thing. If I have to give you an example for a okay, CH and R3 plus OH minus CH2 CH3. Let's assume that I have this compound. Now you can understand, right? This is NR3. R can be anything. Basically, a quaternary ammonium salt, NR3 plus, and there is one more alkyl, NR4 plus, basically, and hydroxide, right? So if I'm going to heat it, right? Now, what you can easily understand is, people, tertiary amine will be gone, right? Now, where will you remove the hydrogen from? Basically, you can form the double bond between this carbon and this carbon, or you can form the double bond between this carbon and this carbon. Both things are possible, just like how you have in if you have Br here, you will have either double bond formed here or double bond formed here, just like that elimination reaction, right? Now in these cases, what will you do is you are not going to follow Zaitsev's rule, right? What you have to follow is the opposite of Zaitsev's rule, that is your Hofmann's rule, right? Hofmann rule is exactly opposite of Zaitsev's rule. Zaitsev's rule says that the double bond should be formed between carbon atoms which are more substituted. Here, the double bond should be formed between the carbon atoms which are less substituted. That's the only difference. Okay, Hofmann's rule says that in the Hofmann elimination, right, the double bond should be formed between the carbon atoms which are less substituted. Okay, right. So how will be the product then? Now this is gone. This is going to form NR3. Forget about it. Right. So what is left out? Left out is this CH2 double bond CH CH2 CH3 would have been the product. See where I formed the double bond. I formed the double bond between the first and second carbon atom, which is less substituted. Very important reaction. Okay. So all you need to know is you need to have a quaternary ammonium hydroxide compound, and you have to heat it. Right. Now, how will you produce a quaternary ammonium hydroxide? You can easily form the quaternary ammonium halide. You know how to form it. More and more amount of alkyl chloride you form. Right. And after you form the quaternary ammonium halide, you make it react AgOH. You have written it here. You form the quaternary ammonium hydroxide, and then you heat it. You are going to get two products. One is the alkene elimination product. The other one is the tertiary amine. Okay. Now, if you have situations where you don't know where to form the double bond, that time you have to remember Hoffman's rule, which says that the double bond is formed between the carbon atoms which are less substituted. Done. That's what you need to understand in this question. Okay. Right. Now, I taught you all this for answering this particular question here. Right. So if you have taken down the choices, I told you answer A, option A was the answer. Right. So maybe if you have taken down the mechanism, I'll just tell you how the product is formed. Okay, I think, is it okay? End up the part, and this part.
Yes.
Right. So what you had was LiAlH4, and you went for 3 moles of CH3I, and then you went for AgOH in the heating in the presence of AgOH. That's what is given for this answer. The answer for this question. Right. So I told you how LiAlH4 works. So after you put LiAlH4, you are going to form CH2 NH2. Okay. Right. Now, if you put 1 mole of CH3I, guys, bear with this. I'm running out of markers and it's a complete soon. Right. So if you have CH3I, what will happen? Nucleophilic fission reaction will happen. So what will be the product? Basically, you would have formed NHCH3. That is 1 mole. 2 moles, 1 more CH3. Third mole, 1 more CH3 having a positive charge and having I minus. Yes, if you put 3 moles of CH3, methyl iodide, you will be forming the quaternary ammonium hydroxide. Correct. And then you go for AgOH. What will happen if you put AgOH? This is going to become OH minus. Right. So if this becomes OH minus and I heat it, what will happen? So this part is gone. Right. This part is going to go out as CH3 thrice N, tertiary amine. And what will happen to this? Obviously, I have to make a double bond between this carbon and this carbon. And that is what we added up. Okay. Right. Very simple. You have to remember Hoffman's rule, and you have to remember where to start, where to end. That's it. Is it okay, people? Right. So I hope you understood this. Right. Okay. Anything else you have to know? Yeah, I think that would be it. Right. Okay. And obviously you have reactions with respect to your aniline, right? So aniline, you know, is going to be an orthopara directing group. It's a very strongly activating group. Okay. So sometimes you in your book, in your NCERT textbook, you will see reactions like this. For example, if you have aniline, you don't have to put anything, like, you know, it's very strongly activating, that even if you put bromine water, right, even if you're going to put bromine water, you will be forming a tri-substituted aniline. One Br, another Br, and another Br. This is what you're going to have, right? So it's very strongly activating that it is not going to end up with one para, one ortho. All the ortho and para positions are occupied by Br. Okay, it is that because NH2 is strongly activating group. Okay, but if at all you want it only at one position, right? If at all you want it, if you want the Br to be only at ortho or para position and not the entire three positions, what you have to do is you have to convert this into a less activating group. And the best way to go about it is to convert the amine into an amide, right? So first step would be to put CH3COCl. I know what is going to happen, right? So if I put CH3COCl, this is a primary amine. I'm going to form a primary amide, right? You will form NHCOCH3. Okay. Then you go for your bromination, Br2 in the presence of AlCl3 or FeCl3, whatever it is. Right now you will get either only in the NHCOCH3, or say assume that it is going to be at para position, ortho position. Right now you have to get back the amine. What will you do? You want to get back this one. NH2 only should be there. So what will you do for this?
Reduction.
If I do reduction, what will I get? If I do reduction, I'll get NH2 or NHCH2CH3 is what I'll get. I don't want the COCH3. So what should I do? Nothing, just go for hydrolysis. If you go for hydrolysis, what will happen? If I put H2O, H3O plus, what will happen? If I have generally an amide, any amide or any acid derivative for that matter, right, is going to give me back the acid. And that's what is exactly going to happen here. But along with acid, say if I have R NHCO R dash, something like this. This is a secondary amine, secondary amide. What will you get if I go for hydrolysis? You will break this bond. So basically you will form RNH2 plus R dash COOH is what will you form. Okay, right? So this is what is called as protecting group. Anyway, we don't have to go in details. So what you're trying to do here is in aniline is NH2 is so activating that if you put bromine, you're going to get all the three positions occupied. But if at all you want it only at one position, you convert this group into a less activating group, and that would be the amide. Then you do the bromination, and you want to get back the amine, you just go for hydrolysis. You're going to get back this. This is very simple. Any acid derivative on hydrolysis will give me one product along with the carboxylic acid, and that one product, other product in this case, turns out to be the amine. If it was ester, the other product would have been alcohol, right? So if at all it would have been anhydride, both of them would have been acid, right? So it depends, right? So hope you understood. And other than this, you have your reactions with respect to your diazonium salt. Very important. Okay, so you know how to form the diazonium salt, and with diazonium salt, how do you convert to say chlorobenzene, bromobenzene? Your what reaction is that? Wait, oh god. G. What is the reaction, guys? Gattermann. Okay. Gattermann reaction and Sand-Meyer's reaction, right? So that is converting to chloride or bromide or iodide. You go for you put Ki in the presence of benzene, right? You can even go for fluorobenzene if you use HPF4, right? Or you can convert that into benzene. You can convert arene diazonium salts to normal benzene if you use H3PO2, right? Again, those reactions are very, very, very important. And obviously the coupling reactions. At last, if you have as diazonium salts, and if you have compounds like aniline or toluene or phenols, the para hydrogen, remember, right? The para hydrogen should be removed. Okay, so if at all I give you one example, hope you must be remembering. I'll just give you one example. Say if you have N2 plus Cl minus, now you say you have phenol OH And here you have a H. Para position is what is very important. You will remove this and you will form this particular compound. N, double bond N, then again the other benzene ring with the OH. These are what are called as azo dyes, and they will generally be colored compounds, or in this particular thing is orange color. Okay, so what you have to understand is you are not going to remove the H from OH or whatever is the functional group is there. You are going to remove the para hydrogen. This is what is called as your azo coupling reactions. Okay, so yeah, these are all the things you have to do. That's it. Okay, so with this chapter is over and we have successfully completed your syllabus. Okay, so you go write your tests. You go, I told you how to approach the problem, how to approach the test, right? Go write as many as mock tests, analyze it, that is more important, right? And then you go write the test, and after you finish your board exam, after you finish your JEE weights, if at all you still have any topics, right? If at all majority of you have doubt in a particular topic, maybe then we can have a class after you finish your JEE mains. Okay, and whether with respect to NCRT or whether it's with respect to JEE mains, the next attempt, right? If at all you want any particular concept clarity or you want to do some problems, right? You talk about it among yourselves, right? If at all, I need at least 3 people. I cannot teach to at least 2, like minimum 3 people should be there, right? So if at all 50% strength, that is 3 people are there, and if you have common interests, we can actually do something about it. Is that okay? Right? So, and what should I say? It's been a wonderful journey for me teaching all you guys. Like, you have improved a lot. You have whatever I saw you and at the first. Now how you are, where you are, you have made a good journey. Be proud about it. I am proud of you. Okay, but that is not going to be sufficient, right? So all the journey, all the difficult paths you have gone through till now to reach somewhere. Now that zenith is what is reaching. That zenith is what is waiting for you in the form of JEE mains exam. So you just give your best. After that, whatever happens is going to happen. There is nothing stopping it, right? All you can do, all you can worry about is how well you are going to do the exam. Again, worrying about is not going to help. You know what you're going to do, what you have to do, right? So make sure you knock on the right doors, okay, and do the things which are required, and you can eventually expect the results. But if you don't do anything and then feel bad when the marks come down, there's nobody to blame other than you. Okay, so people, it was very nice teaching you, right? It was a very nice experience for me, right? I hope I have instilled, I don't know how many of you liked chemistry when you joined this course, but I hope I have made you not at least hate chemistry. Like that's the whole point of this, right? So I love my subject. I love teaching, and obviously I should impart the same thing when I leave a batch, right? Say someday maybe you call me someday and say that, sir, I am doing this research in this particular field, right? So I will be really glad. Or not only with respect to chemistry, anything for that matter. You do something good in science, any subject, I am very glad about it. Be it engineering, anyway, right? But you have to be above the crowd wherever you be. Okay, fine, guys. Thank you so much. We'll meet whenever possible. You write your exams, all the very best for you, right? So do not panic. Just do the basics right, and you are going to do well in your exams. Is it okay? Right? Thank you so much, people. We'll meet again whenever possible. Right?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.